Good afternoon. My name is Ben Smith, founder of PR Moment. I hope you all had a lovely lunch. Welcome to the final session of this conference. When Binta asked me whether I'd be prepared to chair this session, she told me it would be the grand finale, but then Francis said it would actually be the graveyard slot. So we'll see how we go. But needless to say, I think we've got a champagne reception at the end of it all for added motivation for you. So just to kick things off this afternoon, we've got a really interesting first session. There's a lot of discussion in PR right now about the power of influencers and how to target influencers and influencer mapping, etc., etc. And normally when I introduce these sorts of topics, there's a influencer service provider who sort of comes up on stage and talks very interestingly about it. But this afternoon, we've got Google talking about it. So, I mean, who better person to talk about the role of influence within communications than a lady from Google? And so without further ado from me, we've got Susan Agliata, who's going to be talking to us about the power of influencers. Susan, over to you.
Okay, thank you. I realize this is the session right after lunch, so everyone is in a food coma and probably not interested in sitting here, so bear with me, please. I will be showing a lot of videos, so that will help spice things up, I hope. And I'd like to keep this as interactive as possible. So if you have a question, there are roaming mics. Grab someone, definitely ask a question while it's top of mind. So first, I need 3 volunteers. I need someone to tell me what is the last YouTube video they watched and how did they find it. It could be anything. Music, sports. No one in here watches YouTube? Good one, yes. Yes, and how did you find that video?
I just Googled it.
Googled it, Google search, right? Okay, great, good one. Yes. A good one, yes. Cats are still very, very popular on YouTube, in case you were worried about it. A cat in a campaign is instant success. How did you find that video? Facebook, okay. You in the back, sir.
Late show with Colbert, Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, okay. And how did you find that? Do you subscribe to his channel?
No, not subscribe, but just following, just going directly to the channel and choose the latest.
So you went to YouTube and then searched for that on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, one more.
Oh, I watched a terrible car launch video that was sent to me by a colleague. I was forced to watch it.
Yeah, that happens to us a lot, doesn't it? We all watch a lot of really bad videos. But the point is that the world has completely changed in terms of how we're consuming content. And we know this, we're all in the industry, we're all professionals. But we're actually at a point now where 80% of the world's internet traffic will be video by 2019. And that's huge. That's a survey from just a few months ago from ICCO. That is massive, and that obviously includes Netflix, includes Facebook, all of the different platforms. So if there's one key takeaway from this, you have to start thinking that communication is happening via sight, sound, and motion more than any other medium, whether that's searching for how to use a French press, whether that's searching for a recipe, whether that's searching for a talk show, we're all consuming more and more information via video. And we're also doing that on mobile. So on YouTube alone, 50% of views are on mobile devices, and that includes tablet. That's 50%. People watch football highlights on Monday mornings when they're on the tube or the train or whatnot. They search for things when they're actually in the store in order to make an informed decision about purchasing that product. And we also find that they're more engaged on mobile because they have intent. When they're on mobile, they actually have intent, and they're more focused. It's a smaller screen, but they're highly, highly focused when they're engaging with that device. So mobile is incredibly important. And when you think about how you're crafting your communications or your creative, you always have to keep in mind that most likely it's going to be consumed on a mobile device. Especially if you work in the creative industry, you know, we have this syndrome where we see everything on big screens and it's big and bold and beautiful. Everyone else is looking at it and it's really, really small. So just keep that in mind. We also know that the line between branded content and entertainment is blurring. We know that. This is because the ways in which we consume content have changed so rapidly. It's no longer I sit down on the couch and I watch TV for that 1 hour or half an hour. Since we're getting content from everywhere and all the time, it's all blurring into one stream of content.
So I predict that in the next decade or two, any differentiation between these platforms will fall away. Is 13 hours watched as one cinematic whole really any different than a film? Do we define film as being something 2 hours or less? Surely it goes deeper than that. If you're watching a film on your television, is it no longer a film because you're not watching it in a theater? If you watch a TV show on your iPad, is it no longer a TV show? The device and the length are irrelevant. The labels are useless, except perhaps to agents and managers and lawyers who use these labels to conduct business deals. But for kids growing up now, there's no difference. Watching Avatar on an iPad or watching YouTube on a TV or watching Game of Thrones on their computer. It's all content. It's just story.
Obviously, I love that because he mentions YouTube specifically, but it applies to every platform. This is the reality. It is one constant story that you need to craft to ensure you're reaching the right audience. On YouTube alone, we have 400 hours of video uploaded per minute to the platform. That is gigantic. That's a lot of composition to get your message out. We have a range of content on YouTube, from the recipe videos, from Lady Gaga videos. Obviously, music is one of our top categories. Sports content, one of our top categories. But the beauty of YouTube is that it's not just that high production value content, it's niche as well. So you can find personalities you love, you can find channels you love. Maybe you love cats skateboarding. We have lots of channels about that. You love science, you want to do science experiments, you can find channels about that. So it really is a democratic platform for everyone. You can be a creator. Tomorrow you can go and start your own channel, and if you're consistent and authentic, you can actually build your own audience, just like some of our top creators have. Now, within this plethora of content, we have these personalities that have developed. And YouTube is actually quite mature at this point in terms of just general awareness of, you know, some of the top creators you've heard of. Who knows who PewDiePie is in this room? Anyone? Okay, a few people. He's our largest creator on the platform, Swedish video gamer, now lives in Brighton. He's gigantic. He's known for bro fist. I'm not his target demo, obviously. But we have this range of personalities on the platform that users are connecting with. And the reason they're connecting with them is because they're authentic. These are authentic personalities. And we last year had an article come out in Variety, and there was a follow-up article actually this year as well. I highly suggest you take a look at it. And via survey, we determined that among US teens, 5 of the top 5 most popular and influential celebrities are YouTube stars. So PewDiePie is more popular than Johnny Depp. He's more influential than those. This is amazing to me. This is not my generation, so it's quite puzzling to me as well. But there's a very good reason for this, because these influencers are accessible. They're like their audience. They engage with their audience. They constantly ask their audience questions. And what I love about this piece of research is that it really brings to a head, I feel like we've been talking a lot in the industry for the last few years about influencers, but no one really knew how much impact they had. They have a huge amount of impact. Who knows who this guy is? Anyone? This is KSI. He is #1 on that Variety survey for most influential. He is a FIFA gamer, and he started his career on YouTube, literally, by playing FIFA, the video game, for hours at a time and cracking jokes and being a little crazy and this and that. Now he's doing major brand deals. He's doing all sorts of other offline activities, doing quite well for himself, actually. But he was authentic. He really tapped into that gaming passion point. That's a huge vertical on YouTube. Again, PewDiePie, 39 million people follow PewDiePie. 39 million. That's an incredible amount of reach. Incredible. We also have a little bit smaller, but creators such as Rosanna Pansino, who basically built a cooking empire by creating nerdy cakes and cupcakes. So she makes cakes shaped like video game icons and things like that. So again, she's tapping into that nerdy science audience and the food audience as well. And she's done very well for herself now in offline as well. And then we have some of our largest here in Europe. We have some of our largest creators, and I'm sure everyone knows Zoella, especially if you're from the UK. She's one of our top beauty creators in the world. When Zoella endorses a product in one of her videos, it usually sells out if there's a link in it, and she's done major brand deals, of course. We also have people like Tom Ska, who are more comedy focused, and they've really built up their own comedy empire, both online and off. And then we have more emerging creators like Nikki and Sammy, and their claim to fame is they're a little bit overweight, and they recorded their journey to lose weight on their YouTube channel. So every week they posted a video about what they were doing, workout regimens, food they were eating, and it was quite a success story. And again, really accessible because they're talking to people their age who might be going through this same struggle.
Doing this is fun, but sometimes it is a lot.
They are the stars of YouTube.
It might look like teenage hysteria.
The UK is producing huge global stars many celebrities would envy.
This is not something that I was ever prepared for. I am just trying to get my head around the whole thing.
I do just want to put out my whole soul and my whole existence online.
We're identical twins. I can make you laugh whenever I want to. No, you can't. Thank you very much. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, you.
Oh, God. I just want to make everyone happy, which I know is impossible.
Our parents don't really understand what it is we do.
I started pouring my heart out, hoping that it would matter to people.
And as you can see from that clip, one of the reasons why they are so popular is because they're also vulnerable. So Zoella has been quite public that she has anxiety attacks in public speaking situations. She's made quite a few videos around it and really built up a huge fan base of other teen girls who go through the same thing. These are genuinely authentic personalities, and they have to stay authentic in order to retain their fan base. They're highly aware aware of ensuring that their fans still love them, because their fans will comment, their fans will tell them, no, we don't think you should be doing that, you're selling out, et cetera, et cetera. So they're more interested in retaining their own integrity than they are in things like major brand deals, et cetera. It is, though, certainly about finding that sweet spot between them that does work for them. This guy I wanted to talk a little bit about because right before I came here, I was at an event in Lisbon. I had the pleasure to host him. His name is Alex, and his YouTube channel is French Guy Cooking. He's fantastic. He's based in Paris. He's part of Jamie Oliver's FoodTube, which is one of the largest food MCNs in the world. And he is a fantastic example of emerging talent on the platform that we're seeing more and more of now. High production quality, but again, really, really authentic. And his story is amazing. He worked at a digital agency in Paris for 7 years, much like us, you know, slaving away in the agency world. And he decided that he actually wanted to dedicate his life to food and making content. And what he did was a really eye-opening experience for him. We get the impression always that these YouTube influencers just wake up every day and shoot a video in their bedroom and maybe they post it and tweet and this and that. It's actually a business. And he, every day of the week, he has a full day of he's shooting, he's editing, he does his social on one day, he does his collaborations on another day, and he works more now, having quit the agency world, than he did then. So these are professionals. It's a myth that these creators are not. They work very, very hard at what they do. They work very, very hard to build their own businesses. So what I do day to day at Google is I work with our top brands in Europe to help them understand how to tap into this new audience. And one of those ways is collaborating with these influencers. And this is a very difficult area for a lot of brands because it's scary. It's scary. You're giving up control. You have to give up control if you want to produce good content and you want it to be relevant. And it's shifting from that broadcast message mentality to actually creating content that target audience wants to watch. And there's a big difference. There's a big difference between making beautiful branded content and making content that's relevant. So the way we frame it is just finding that sweet spot between what are those brand values and what does the audience want to watch, whether they want their questions answered, they want to be entertained, they're into extreme sports. It's really understanding who your target is and crafting the message appropriately for that. So I'm going to show a few examples of brands who have done this really well, what we consider best in class over the past few years. And what's special about these examples is that they really hone in on a specific insight. And it's tapping into those communities, those influencers that are so powerful on YouTube. The first one is a campaign with Electronic Arts and Lindsay Sterling. Lindsay Sterling, who's quite popular now. Does anyone know who she is in this room? Lindsay Sterling? No? She is a violinist. She rose to fame on YouTube by posting her own videos. She now travels the world globally, putting on concerts and doing TV shows and things like that. She's fantastic. And the insight that Electronic Arts found when releasing this new video game was fans of our game are also fans of classical music. So they took Lindsay, who has a huge following, and they put her in their YouTube ad for the video game. And it was quite long. It wasn't a short format, and she was the highlight of it. I'm not going to show you the clip. It's a little bit long, but I will show you the reaction to that clip and why, again, it could be so powerful to partner with these influencers. Comments were, Lindsay, you are so amazing with the skills that kills, LOL. I was wondering if you could make a cover from the video game Monster Hunter 3. This is amazing, and that dragon looked totally epic. I'd love to see you do a cover for one of the Final Fantasy VII songs. But most importantly, Lindsay responds to those comments. So she doesn't ignore them. She actually engages with those who are leaving the comments. And she says, wow, thanks so much for spreading the Lindsay love. My Dragon Age video got 1 million hits in less than 24 hours. Here it is if you haven't seen it yet. I love you guys, and I can't thank you enough for all you do for me. So she is thanking her audience. She is thanking them. And that's why these guys have the followings they do, because they're not becoming that more traditional celebrity, the kind of unattainable celebrity. They're still engaging, and they're still very, very real people. The next example I'll show is one of my favorite, and I work across many, many markets in Europe, so this is near and dear to my heart. Turkish Airlines, obviously an amazing brand that does an amazing creative. They wanted to do a new awareness campaign to really highlight all of the amazing destinations they fly to, and they wanted to reach local markets. So they wanted to create content that was locally relevant in local language, but have that unified by a clear global message. So what they did was they partnered with 10 YouTube creators, some of the largest creators in each of those markets. Derum, the largest beauty creator in Germany, Sean Garnier, largest freestyler football in France. And instead of shooting content for them, they empowered them to go shoot their own content. They gave them control. And they said, okay, we'll give you the cameras, we'll give you the tickets, we'll fly you to these amazing places. You shoot a video and you put it on your own channel, not ours. And the reason they did this is because all of these influencers have very large fan bases. So when they post it and they promote it, they're reaching a larger audience. They're expanding their audience. They're really getting reach through this. And I'll show a quick clip of one of my favorite videos in the series.
On est à Casablanca. Et partout dans le monde où je vais, j'espère qu'il y a un terrain de street qui va venir à moi. Et ben voilà, un terrain de street. Bon voilà, on est arrivé, CNBS Maroc, 1 contre 5, le premier qui met un petit peu, et puis il a gagné.
You'll see at the end, the video links to the other video in the series as well that use the other influencers. So it links to Derum, it links to Fun for Louis, who went to India. So it creates this ecosystem of content that goes from influencer to influencer to influencer. And these are just all of the creators that they partnered with. There's a few more. And what was so special was, again, that it was tapping into that local audience, because it was all local language content that was certainly captioned, but it was done local language. Turkish Airlines did create content and put it on their own channel in order to still build their own fan base. But what's key here is they gave control to those creators, and that's what works, because at the end of the day, these creators are the ones that know what works for their fans, their audiences. They know how to create content that's going to be successful. This example is also a great one, and it's in the beauty genre, which we're well known for on YouTube. And Maybelline New York was releasing a new palette launch, and it's called Nude. And what they did was, again, to the point of creating that ecosystem of content, they used several different channels to build this web of different types of content. They created a big, more TVC-like ad, certainly, that featured top supermodels. But then they partnered with Style Hall, who's one of our top beauty creators on YouTube. They're an MCN. They manage many, many, many beauty vloggers, worked with many, many, many different brands. And they not only asked these vloggers to create the usual beauty tutorials, the how-tos, etc., they cast them in a episodic series, which was really like a soap opera for the fashion world, because Maybelline was trying to align their brand with higher end fashion. And they called the series Vanity. Again, I'm not the target demographic for this, but it is highly effective if you're trying to reach that audience. And I'll show just a short promo of the series. And every Thursday, they uploaded a new episode, and every episode featured these beauty vloggers that were then promoting it on their own channels as well. So they were getting that additional social reach from the beauty vloggers. The last example I will show for any football fans in the room is a very recent campaign from EE that came out of the UK. And this probably featured some of the largest number of YouTubers that I've ever seen, 28 different YouTube stars, all from the UK. And what they did was they created a series uploaded once a week featuring Spencer FC, who, again, going back to gaming and going back to why KSI is popular, he's a big gaming YouTuber, plays a lot of FIFA. He also plays football in real life as well. And they said, okay, you devise what this concept is, we'll fund it. We will give you the historic Wembley Stadium to have some sort of event in, and you decide what you want to do. And what he did was he built a football team out of YouTubers, out of YouTube influencers, and his friend, another YouTuber, also built one. And this series was about them training and competing and building up to this big final moment. And that was a 30-minute episode that landed at Wembley Stadium. And each of these videos has, some are high, some are a little bit lower, on average 5 million views each, which is huge, and it's a very, very recent campaign. So again, a great example of leveraging that ecosystem of influencers to get maximum reach.
All right, mate, how you doing? And welcome to the final episode of the Wembley Cup with EE. This is it. We've had a really good journey up to this point. The YouTubers are raring to go. They've been put through their paces, and I'm really happy with the squad I'm going to be leading out on the hallowed turf of Wembley Stadium versus the Sidemen United. It's going to be one of the biggest games Wembley Stadium has ever seen, and I just need some rest now. We're in the hotel the night before. We need to get ready. We need to prepare. I'll see you at the stadium.
And so I'll leave you with this. If there's 3 things that you can take away as best practices, if you are interested in working with influencers, if you want to explore that community more, or play in that space, it's first and foremost, understand that YouTube and all of these platforms are communities. You can't broadcast your message. You have to begin a conversation. And while that conversation might not always be pleasant, it's a conversation you have to have in order to stay relevant. Engage with those passion points. Understand who your audience is. What are they interested in, really? What are they interested in? And how do you find that sweet spot to reach them? And most important out of all of them is being authentic. Millennials, and I hate that word because we all use it much too much, but authenticity is key to the millennial generation. Highly, highly skeptical. And again, this is why these YouTubers are so successful, because they are truly, truly authentic. Question?
We're running a little bit over, but if we have maybe time for one question. I have a quick one. You're head of the branded content solutions at Google.
That's correct.
Which sounds suspiciously like a sort of internal agency. Do you have a sort of agency structure? Should these guys be very scared?
No, please don't be afraid. So we don't produce any content. We are not content creators. What we do is simply consult with brands and agencies, and I've worked with a lot of PR agencies actually over the past few years, and we simply advise on best practices, advise on different formats that work on YouTube based on what we see being successful. So definitely not competitors. We're here to help because we want to see this industry mature and we want everyone to be successful.
Great stuff. Go on, one question. If you could keep it to 30 seconds in your reply, that'd be perfect.
One question. I'm from Germany, and we worked with Google together too, with a client, and their experience that Google is going to the clients to promote, like YouTube, together with content agencies like Endemol. And this is getting big competition, I think. What do you think about that?
Well, I can't speak to the specifics because I'm not familiar with it, but I do know there are a lot of players in the space. They're all independent players in the space, and we're not aligned to any of them. Endemol is quite large. They have a massive presence, certainly, and I know they are very much getting more involved in the YouTube space.
I'm going to wrap it up there because Binta's going to start staring at me, but thank you very much. Are you hanging around afterwards? Are you?
I will.
Yeah?
I will.
She's hanging around. You can ask her. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Well, I feel terribly mean now. Go on. Go for it. Yeah.
I am fascinating about these influencers communities. You talked about the top of the pyramid, the top of the top of the top of the influencers. What about the base of the influencers in YouTube and in Facebook, in all the social platforms? I think you have to work also with them, not only with the top ones, but also with organic bottom ones that are, they all have at least 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, not millions. But if you can reach them, you can reach 1,000 with 10,000 followers. You can have a huge campaign, a huge word-of-mouth campaign about with these influencers. What can you say about this?
I couldn't have said it better myself, to be honest, and that's exactly what we advise. There is a tendency, certainly, to look at the top creators, the Zoellas, et cetera, and say, I want to work with them. But I agree 100%, and part of your job, and this is what you're experts in, is helping to identify some of that new and emerging talent. And a lot more people are starting to do that. Take a look at the ones with lower subscribers, lower view count, that maybe need a little bit of help in developing their presence, and working with more of those versus some of the larger ones. So absolutely correct.
Susan, thank you very much.